All new Friday night at 7 on Arizona PBS. Support for Arizona PBS comes from viewers like you and from
Arizona Theater Company presents Silent Sky, the true story of astronomer Henrietta Leavitt, her discoveries and dedication to the stars. November 14th through December 1st at Herberger Theater Center. Tickets at arizonatheater.org.
Hospice of the Valley, medical, social, and spiritual care for patients nearing end of life and support for their families. A not-for-profit community hospice, HOV.org.
From the Cronkite Studios in downtown Phoenix, this is Cronkite News.
I did not watch it. I'm too busy to watch it. It's a witch hunt. It's a hoax.
It's a historic day on Capitol Hill. For the first time in 2 decades, an impeachment inquiry into a president is documented by public hearings. We have full team coverage from D.C. to Phoenix.
Plus, as the Supreme Court holds oral arguments to decide the future of DACA, students rally together to show their support.
We can't take every single horse that comes across our path, but we tend to specialize in, I'd say, the worst of the worst cases.
And we take you to a horse sanctuary in California to see for ourselves what happens to the animals once they retire from the increasingly controversial sport.
Cronkite News starts now.
Good evening and welcome to Cronkite News on Arizona PBS. I'm Madison LaBerge.
And I'm Daria Yasmin. Thank you for joining us.
Today, dramatic testimony about alleged corruption moved the impeachment inquiry into President Trump beyond the shadows of closed-door hearings and into the public eye.
Bill Taylor, the top U.S. diplomat in Ukraine, told Congress President Trump leveraged key aid and White House visit for Ukraine to investigate Joe Biden and his son.
I think it's crazy to withhold security assistance for help with a political campaign.
Republicans paint the allegations as hearsay, while the president blames Democrats for playing politics. Officials here in Arizona remain divided over the impeachment inquiry.
Today we spoke to state representatives from both political parties about their stance, and neither of them held anything back.
This is something that was bound to happen. A lot of the conversations that have been had since the beginning that Trump took office are leading to today. To start an impeachment process on the President of the United States is something serious. And for Trump to have used this office, the highest office, which when he took oath back in January of 2017, one of the phrases when he takes oath is to faithfully execute the office of the President of the United States. And for him to use it for self-interest in the Middle East, using foreign policy, and to threaten other individuals to gain political expediency, that is definitely deserving of impeachment.
If you think about all of the things that this president has done for America, a huge number of accomplishments from the military, bolstering our military after what President Obama did to the military, the amount of money that African Americans can now make, that women can now make, that Latinos can now make, all increases based on what this president has done. The reasons for the impeachment are a joke, an absolute joke.
Arizonans are also weighing in on whether or not they think Trump should stay in office.
Cronkite News reporter Mariah Gallegos visited OH Predictive Insights to learn more about a recent poll conducted in the state. Mariah?
Although recent analytics have proved that Arizona is a swing state for the upcoming elections, a new poll taken shows that Arizonans are not happy with the job President Trump is doing, but they don't want him removed from office.
When it comes to the topic of impeachment, actually, Arizonans are overall against impeachment when it comes to the president.
Mike Noble with OH Predictive Insights says his team sampled 900 registered voters statewide, and the results show more Arizonans disapprove of Trump, but fewer actually want him removed from office. Trump's combined approval rating is at 46%. 50% disapprove of the job he's doing. When it comes to impeachment, views are split along party lines. Democrats strongly believe Trump should be impeached. Republicans strongly believe he should stay in office. But when it comes to independent voters, 39% believe he should be removed, and 46% think he should remain in office.
When it comes to the all-important independent voters, those swingy voters in the middle, they don't like Trump. However, when it comes to impeachment, they are actually more against it than actually for it.
And with elections around the corner, he believes the independent voters are questioning if the impeachment is worth it.
Elections is the ultimate way for voters to cast an opinion. And so right now, based on Trump's job approval, even with the economy doing incredibly well, he's underwater. However, when it comes to the line of impeachment, again, I don't think voters are quite there to saying he has crossed that line.
Noble said they will be following up with the recent poll, and they have already formed the next set of questions for the impeachment inquiries. Earlier today, we set up a small social experiment in downtown Phoenix, outside of City Hall. For 1 hour, we asked people who were passing by to drop a marble into the glass jar of their choice. The jars were labeled impeach, impeach and remove, and don't impeach. About 24 people participated in the 60 minutes we were there, with the majority of them placing their marbles in the jar labeled impeach and remove. Live in Phoenix, Mariah Gallegos, Cronkite News.
So we want to hear from you. How closely are you following the hearings? Are you watching them live, following them on social media, or are you tired of it and think it's not really relevant to you?
So far, the majority of you are saying you're following the hearings on social. But it's not too late to join the conversation. Just head over to our Facebook and Twitter feeds to vote in our live interactive polls. And remember, as the public hearings continue into the next week, follow us on Facebook and Twitter.
You can also find us online at cronkitenews.azpbs.org. As the Supreme Court kicked off oral arguments surrounding the fate of DACA, here in Arizona, supporters and detractors of the program got fired up.
Cronkite News reporter Marcela Baeto tells us what some DACA recipients are doing locally to push the issue forward. Marcela?
Students we spoke to say they now have to fight even harder for a comprehensive plan that would allow them to remain in the United States. But the president and his allies believe it's time for DACA to go.
Chants of support echoed through the Hayden lawn on ASU's Tempe campus just a few hours after the Supreme Court started hearing oral arguments that could decide the fate of the DACA program.
He was undocumented.
Luis Zambrano attended the rally, his immigrant status still a sensitive topic for the ASU student.
This isn't something I can talk about.
That something is Zambrano's lack of citizenship status, his family bringing him from Mexico to the U.S. when he was just 1 year old.
I have this strenuous protection that keeps me safer than most undocumented folks, but it's still one of those things where I really wish I was born here.
Tuesday's rally was organized by Undocumented Students for Education Equity, a student-led group that supports DACA. Stephanie Robles says the program is only a stepping stone and that a longer-lasting solution is needed.
There definitely needs to be change that incorporates the larger community and something that's more inclusive and permanent and has a pathway to citizenship.
Students and supporters from all different backgrounds coming together, voicing their concerns against some of the rhetoric used by several local lawmakers.
If you look at someone, you can't tell if they're legal or illegal. It's kind of ridiculous that some people decide to draw lines and make laws that only advantage them.
The Supreme Court has until June of 2020 to make a decision on DACA. It's a contentious issue dividing communities and lawmakers across party lines. Republican Arizona State Representative Paul Gosar responding to Cronkite News' request for comment on the issue, sending this statement. The DACA program is nothing more than a Trojan horse to give amnesty to nearly 750,000 illegal immigrants. The president tweeting out this morning that almost 54,000 DACA recipients have arrest records, citing a Fox News host as a source. Nevertheless, the president also writing he is willing to make a deal with Democrats.
Welcome Luis to share a bit of his story.
Back in Tempe, Zambrano says he sees himself as much more than just a political ploy or statistic.
We are people. We're not figures. We're not tools for any kind of side to use. we have hopes, we have fears, we have dreams, and if DACA goes away, many futures are going to be upended, and honestly, I don't know what I'm going to do.
The Supreme Court ruling is likely to come down in June at the height of the 2020 presidential election. Currently, there are about 700,000 immigrants with DACA who can be impacted. In the broadcast center, Marcel Baedo, Cronkite News.
Jury selection has begun in the second trial against a border activist accused of harboring 2 immigrant men who had crossed the U.S.-Mexico border illegally. The trial against 37-year-old Scott Warren began yesterday, just months after a jury in Tucson was deadlocked on charges against him. Warren says he was fulfilling his mission as a humanitarian when he took in 2 Central American men and provided aid. The government says the men weren't injured and that Warren helped them evade authorities. This marks the second time federal prosecutors have tried to get a conviction. Warren and his group No More Deaths say their work leaving water out in the desert and helping injured migrants is increasingly under attack.
Coming up next on Cronkite News at 5, bishops and believers come together to celebrate Border Mass, also known as the Misa Fronteriza.
A lot of people want to have a sense of hope, a sense of solidarity together.
Find out how those begin. The Mass say it also serves as a way to heal wounds.
And a Navy SEAL from Arizona who was told he was too old fights for his right to be a firefighter. Don't go away.
Cronkite Noticias is the Spanish-speaking division of Cronkite News, covering topics such as economics, education, sustainability, immigration, and border relations. Cronkite Noticias strives to serve the Spanish-speaking community in Arizona. Under the guidance of prominent Spanish-speaking professionals, students at the Walter Cronkite School of Journalism develop content for our broadcast partner, Univision, as well as on Facebook and Twitter. Explore Cronkite Noticias at cronkitenoticias.azpbs.org.
With wildfires, a scarcity of water, and other environmental issues facing the Earth today, it's critical to stay up to date with local impacts of a changing climate. That's why we created Elemental, covering sustainability, a multimedia collaboration between public television and radio stations. From climate change to water conservation to renewable energy and much more, Elemental covers the latest in sustainability news. Find our stories on our website, elementalreports.com.
As journalists at Cronkite News, we report on stories that matter to you by focusing on the local impact. We dig deeper and work tirelessly to keep you informed.
Live in Wickerburg.
Live in Los Angeles. In Cleveland.
In Washington.
In Louisville.
From Jerusalem.
Live in Philadelphia. From around the world to right here in Phoenix.
At Cronkite News, we report the facts and stick to the truth.
Right on the dividing line separating 2 nations, 3 different cities, they celebrated one single mass honoring immigrants, refugees, and the victim of the Walmart shooting in El Paso.
Cronkite News reporter Ellie Nakamoto-White went to the border town between the United States and Mexico and tells us more. Ellie?
The Catholic Mass brought hundreds of faithful from across the country to signify there is no us versus them, but rather one family of faith. On a bright and windy day, even if just for a few hours, the cities of El Paso, Ciudad Juarez, and Las Cruces became one.
We're here to celebrate a Mass which will bring two countries together, united in faith, asking the Lord to help us with all the issues regarding migration, immigration, and refugees.
Bishops from El Paso, Ciudad Juarez, and Las Cruces crossing this makeshift bridge, celebrating Border Mass, also known as the Misa Fronteriza. The Mass taking place in the Rio Grande Canal, right on the U.S.-Mexico borderline. But more than just a Mass, those behind the Misa say it also serves as a way to heal wounds. Many in attendance denouncing what they say is discrimination towards their communities at a time of high polarization around the immigration debate.
Isn't this ironic? While our president wants to build a wall, here we are building a bridge to bring us together.
This bridge serving as a catalyst, bringing all 3 sides together as one, unifying the three cities through prayer and faith.
A lot of people want to have a sense of hope, a sense of solidarity together, that we can come together, celebrate and worship together as two nations, as two communities that are really only separated by a border.
Valeria Rivera came to El Paso from St. Louis, Missouri, just to attend the Mass.
I'm very privileged to be here. Some people have to do this, and I chose to be here.
I think it's just a beautiful sign of unity with the immigrants who have come, the refugees.
The victims of the recent Walmart shooting in El Paso were also remembered as these communities came together to help support each other through the power of prayer.
Events like this actually help us to come together, to come closer, to heal, and to let the world know and to let ourselves know that we're standing strong, and that events like what happened August the 3rd will not break us or divide us, they make us stronger.
And as the border gates closed, the message remained clear.
We need to accept our brothers and sisters, no matter where they're coming from, and that united in faith, things can be better.
Organizers say over 700 people gathered for the event, which started in 1988 on the border town of Onapra. Last year in 2018, it was moved to the Rio Grande Canal. Live at the digital desk, Ellie Nakamoto-White, Cronkite News.
A leader in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints says he is disgusted by an Arizona elected official and church member accused of running an adoption scheme. Ronald Rasband, a member of the Quorum of the 12 Apostles, told the Arizona Republic the church leadership has found the human smuggling charges against Maricopa County Assessor Paul Peterson sickening. It's the first time an official with the faith has weighed in on Peterson's case. The church also says they will be reviewing Peterson's membership. Prosecutors in Arizona, Utah, and Arkansas say Peterson brought pregnant women from the Marshall Islands to the U.S. and paid them to give up their babies for adoption. He has pleaded not guilty.
A Navy SEAL who grew up in Tucson is getting another chance to chase his dreams. 38-year-old Sean Donovan was previously rejected by the fire department of New York for being too old. At the time he applied, the FDNY's policy made him roughly 6 months past the time cutoff date. But now, thanks to a bill signed by Governor Andrew Cuomo, veterans are allowed to trim up to 7 years of military service from their age. That means Donovan can now go reapply and go through background checks and various testing. We wish him the best of luck.
Coming up next on Cronkite News at 5, injured and abused horses are getting a second chance at life. Find out how one horse sanctuary on the West Coast is coming to the former racing horse's rescue. Welcome to another edition of Cronkite Sports Now. I'm Taylor Rocha. Let's talk sports.
For the latest on local sports and beyond, we've got you covered.
Let's do this thing.
We challenge reporters to go beyond, a game story. We want stories with depth.
It's just a crucial step from the college experience into the professional experience while you're still in school.
At Cronkite Sports Now, watch the journalists of tomorrow cover sports today.
What I really like about whether we're talking Horizon or PBS NewsHour is the fact it's not just one voice. We typically will get several voices talking, different viewpoints. So you're getting a good analysis of what's going on. We need good reporting, and that's what I depend on with PBS.
For more information about including Arizona PBS in your future plans, visit azpbs.org/giving.
I'm Judy Woodruff, anchor and managing editor of the PBS NewsHour. The journalists of tomorrow face a fast-changing media landscape, but quality news remains vitally important to our communities, our country, and our world. At ASU's Walter Cronkite School of Journalism and Mass Communication, students learn solid, reliable reporting, holding the powerful accountable, and rebuilding the public's trust. The Cronkite School and Arizona PBS, preparing the next generation for a stronger future of journalism.
Since last December, 37 horses have died at Santa Anita Racetrack in Southern California, with the most recent death at Breeders' Cup on November 2nd. But what happens to the racehorses that retire? Kyla Wilcher joins us live from our LA bureau to talk about horse sanctuary life. Kyla?
That's right. Racehorses in Southern California have a high risk of injury and death because mild temperatures year-round allow them to race until exhaustion. But some of these horses have life once the dust settles. That's where Red Wings Horse Sanctuary comes in. I made the trek up to Central California to see how these horses handle retirement. Meet Royal Gambler, Royal for short. He's a thoroughbred racehorse whose short career on the track damaged his tendons, leg bones, and hip. Now, Royal is getting his second chance at life.
He was in a very bad body condition when he was found. He was emaciated, but we've returned him to health, and he's a very happy boy.
Sarah Rugaroni's Horse Sanctuary in Lockwood, California, rescues injured and abused horses. Retired racehorses, like Center of Attention, came to this sanctuary after racing in Southern California and Turf Paradise in Phoenix. Now, she's living the good life.
Their life expectancy has been increasing as we have started to care for them more on the same level as a companion animal, so like a dog and a cat versus livestock or a work animal.
Red Wings is home to 73 horses, just like Wilbur and Weston here, who are all on the path to rehabilitation. Now, whether they're former race horses, work horses, or even just pets, Red Wings takes in the horses that need help the most.
We can't take every single horse that comes across our path, but we tend to specialize in, I'd say, the worst of the worst cases, and that's really rewarding to be a part of that.
Red Wings is saving horses at a time when 37 horses have died at Santa Anita Racetrack, also in California. Rugaroni wouldn't comment on those deaths, but says she'll take any horse from any track, like Royal. Royal once finished 6th at Santa Anita, and now he's moved on to greener pastures.
We try really hard to make sure that all the horses that are healthy enough to live in big community pastures can do so, because that's the way nature intended, was for them to live in herd groups in big open spaces.
Santa Anita Racetrack has not yet released a statement addressing the Breeders' Cup death. In December, the California Horse Racing Board plans to release the results of its investigation into the Santa Anita deaths. Live in Santa Monica, Kyla Wilcher, Cronkite News.
The University of Arizona's Medical College in Phoenix is increasing its enrolling class size to 100 students, up from 80. The college says the increase will take effect in 2020. The college says it's a result of the increased state funding to help address Arizona's shortage of physicians. Right now, the shortage in our state is one of the worst in the nation, meeting only 42% of the need for primary care providers.
So Quentin, seeing that winter is coming soon and so are the holidays, will we be seeing any rain or snow upcoming?
Rain or snow? Daria, where do you think we're living right now?
Well, I'm from Colorado, so I'm used to changing seasons.
Okay, well, I'm from Minneapolis, so I'm used to the snow here, but we are not going to be seeing any of that in Arizona, at least not anytime soon. But take a look across the country. We have some beautiful fall temperatures going on right here. 67 there in Orlando, a bit cooler up in New York, 31 degrees, and then a nice 28 in Minneapolis there where I'm from. But then take a look, Phoenix 79 right now, and then 65 over there in Los Angeles. So some nice temperatures for us today, but notice between Arizona and California, there's a bit of drama going on. I'll show you. Take a look at this pressure system right now. There's some clouds coming over from Los Angeles, and they're going to land about here in Phoenix on Friday around 4 p.m. So if you think about it, California's kind of throwing some shade over here at us in Arizona. So Friday's going to be mostly cloudy, so it'll be a bit gloomy, but don't worry, because those are going to clear up a bit more by Saturday. Taking a close look at tomorrow, though, 8 a.m., some wonderful temperatures, 58 degrees, bright and sunny, moving all the way to your high for the day, 81 degrees at 4 p.m. That's when we're going to see a few of those clouds coming in. That brings us to our cloudy day on Friday. And then capping out a 6 p.m. overnight hour with 78 degrees, going a bit cooler into the night as well. Taking a look at your highs for tomorrow, 82 in Phoenix, not too bad. From the Cronkite Weather Center, Quentin Walker.
Thanks, Quentin. Well, it's that time of year again.
And if you haven't started budgeting for the holidays, experts say that you better start now. Coming up after the break, 3 important tips to make sure that you don't break the bank by the end of the year.
by the year 2050, there will be more plastic in the ocean than fish. Before Professor Halden, I had an insane amount of passion, but I almost felt helpless because I didn't know how to use it. Professor Halden gave me a chance to make a difference. Being at a place like ASU allows you to take these big leaps. Ultimately, the biggest problems in the world cannot be solved alone.
I'm Judy Woodruff, anchor and managing editor of the PBS NewsHour. The journalists of tomorrow face a fast-changing media landscape, but quality news remains vitally important to our communities, our country, and our world. At ASU's Walter Cronkite School of Journalism and Mass Communication, students learn solid, reliable reporting, holding the powerful accountable, and rebuilding the public's trust. The Cronkite School and Arizona PBS, preparing the next generation for a stronger future of journalism.
Spending sprees and holiday sales make it easy to go over budget on the holiday season.
Yeah, but financial experts say there are some easy ways to rein in your spending. Tip number 1 is to make a budget and stick to it. Experts say it's best to set a strict dollar amount for yourself. It's even better to get more specific and list exactly how much you'll spend for each person or gift.
The second tip is to start as early as possible.
That's enough time to really make a plan and say, this is what we have, and now let's go start looking at creative gifts now, not 3 days before Christmas.
And the final tip is to get the family involved. It's always better to take some of the burden off yourself and plan together.
Cronkite News is proud to be the news division of Arizona PBS. Here's what's coming up on Arizona Horizon and PBS NewsHour.
On the next Arizona Horizon, it's the first day of public hearings on the impeachment inquiry of President Trump, and we will have legal and political analysis. The impeachment inquiry on the next Arizona Horizon.
I'm Judy Woodruff. Tonight on the NewsHour, crisis in Bolivia. The country's president steps down as the streets erupt in violence. Coming up after Cronkite News and Arizona Horizon on Arizona PBS.
That's it for Cronkite News tonight.
Have a great night.
Artist, inventor, enigma, Leonardo da Vinci.
Leonardo embraced mystery.
Is science the key to his Mona Lisa?
This is the beating pulse underneath her skin. There was a reason for every decision and every line.
He doesn't make a distinction between the arts and sciences.